Today we're replacing the alternator on this 2015 Mazda 6. It has the 2.5 liter Skyactiv engine in it. This is the same engine that's used in 2013 on in this car. It's 2020 right now. They're still using it. That's the same with the CX-5 from 2013 on, the Mazda 3 from 2014 on, the CX-4 and CX-9 from 2016 on, the CX-8 from 2018 on, and the CX-30 from 2019 on. Again, it's 2020 now, and they're still using the engine in most of those. The alternator is going to be right here. Looks like we may have to move this AC line here slightly to get it out of there. We're going to have to pull out the tensioner pulley, which is, see if we can get a light on it, right there, going down right there. So we'll pull that out. First, it looks like for this AC line, to get some wiggle room, we have a 10 mil right there that we can loosen so that we don't have to disconnect the AC line altogether. And then there are going to be 2 bolts on the alternator itself. There's the top bolt there that we can see, and then the bottom bolt is going to be buried back there behind the tensioner, but we'll get some better video once we get into there. First, we'll need to disconnect the negative battery cable. It's just a 10 millimeter. Up out of the way, just to disconnect power. And then we are going to take off passenger side tire, so we'll break the lugs and then jack it up, pull that off. And then there should be a plastic piece behind there that we'll pull off to get access to the tensioner pulley. So there's a bunch of plastic retainer clips all along the inner fender. So we pull all of those out. And then there's some 8 millimeter bolts. There's one there, there's one up here, and there's a couple we still have to pull. And then all of the plastic retainers, a bunch of them. That. Then we're gonna have one more little plastic guard here. Looks like 1, 2, 3, 4 of those little plastic retainers. So we'll pull those out real quick. So we have to release the tension from the belt. So we're going to come under, we're on the passenger side here, tire off. This is going to be an 18 millimeter. It's like an open end wrench is the easiest way to get in there. And you can see, so here's the tensioner pulley. And then there's an 18 mil end on there. You can get a wrench around. And we're going to pull this towards the front of the car, and that's going to release tension, and then we'll be able to pop that belt off. This might be tricky with the camera in the hand.
Camera in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. Flashlight, really.
There we go. So we're able to pop that belt off there. So we can let the tension back into that. Right there. You can get a good view of that right there. And we'll just pull the belt off so that it's out of our way. We're up top here.
Dude, I'm filming you filming. This is really cool.
There we go. Just pull that out from the bottom. So you're gonna replace the belt while you're in here, but this one looks good.
Okay, because I don't have a replacement. Working.
So this is my brother-in-law's car, so I've never worked on a Mazda before.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's worked on anything
I've
before.
never. No, it took me 2 hours to get a battery out of the carriage.
So he's got his first oil and grease on him.
Woo!
Super happy.
My wife's gonna love that.
So next step, we got to get this idler, or sorry, not the idler, but the tensioner out of there. So there's a top bolt there.
Oh, is that the tensioner then?
Yep. Right there, it's got
the bolt.
Yep. And then there's a bottom bolt right there that we'll be pulling out. So we'll get those 2 out. Should be able to pop that out of there. The top bolt of the tensioner pulley, it's a 12 mil. You can get it right through this little access here. It was on there pretty stuck, so we broke it loose. I'll just twist that off. Off
Dude,
there. All right, so we have another 12 mil. Should be the only other bolt on the bottom of that tensioner. We have a ratcheting open end wrench here, the box end. So we'll get that off. So the bottom bolt of this tensioner is in a little C channel here, so you actually don't have to get it backed out all the way. Let's see if we can see how it's in there. I don't know if you can see that, but that's a little, got my thumb there, little C channel. So the bolt just slides right out of there. So it looks like the tensioner, we're just gonna drop it down from the top. It's kind of hard to see here. Here, I'll hand you this, actually. What you doing?
Is it video?
Yeah.
Okay, and what is this? Oh, this is the tensioner.
The tensioner, so we'll just drop it down.
It's kind of. Hold on, I didn't get that. Let me put it back in. Okay, that's the tensioner. It's a little phallic, but it's okay. Here, I'm moving it, Dad. Oh wow, that is really phallic. Do you want me to re-record that?
No, you're good.
Standards and practices is gonna cut that out.
So there's the tensioner, so we can kind of see what we were doing. That top 12 mil bolt was right there. It was a nut on a stud, and then the 12 mil bolt here, it's actually still in it. So that bolt stays in when you drop it out, and then this part is in like a little C channel, so you can actually slip it right out. So now we have the tensioner out of the way. Now we just need to get the alternator out of there. I think what we're gonna do is loosen up this 10 mil right here on the AC line, just so that we have some room to wiggle this, and then we'll get the 2 bolts out of the alternator. All right, so let's loosen up that 10 mil. So there's a 12 mil right back there. That's the top of the alternator. This one was really on there, so we got a breaker bar here with an extension, and you can hit it coming right through the passenger side, and that'll crack that loose, and then we'll get a ratchet on there to finish it off all the way out. All right, so we have that top alternator 12 mil loose. Just pull it out the rest of the way, and now we have to move on to the bottom bolt here. So we'll get that one off, and then this one should be in a C channel similar to this right here. That was the bottom of the alternator, or sorry, the tensioner pulley, where you don't need to get the bolt all the way out, and then you can just slide it through that little C channel. So this one should be similar here. All right, so that bottom alternator bolt is 14. This one's stuck on there as well, so just a breaker bar. Break it loose, and then we'll get a ratchet in there and finish it out. Bolt loose, and then you should be able to pull it out, and you'll see you won't be able to get it fully out of the alternator. That's okay, because this is in that C channel type thing that we talked about. So leave it like that, and then we're gonna go, I think, to the top and try to wiggle the alternator out of there. So just leave that there, and it'll come out with it. And we have to unplug these 2 fasteners from the alternator here. There's one there, there's one there, so we'll pull those off. All right, so there's a plastic cover on one of the power connector for the alternator there. And on the bottom of it, if you can see, you gotta push in on this part to get that out. We'll have to pull that nut off of there. So get a ratchet on there and loosen that up. So that little plastic thing had, if you can see, just a couple little teeth on it on the inside. Those 3. So I just got a little pick in there and pried one out, and then kind of pulled it out that way, and it popped right off. So this top connector here, just got a pair of needle nose pliers on the right side of it. You push, you squeeze, push in, and then that'll come right out. And so I'll show you on the other one here what we're talking about. So right there's that little nub that you're trying to get over, So you just push in there and then it'll come right out. Just wiggled forward on this part to drop this down, and then we'll wiggle out the bottom side, and then I think we're gonna get this alternator out through the top here. There's one more little plastic connector, electrical connector here, and it doesn't plug into the alternator, but the wire comes across it, so we'll need to get it out of there just to get the room. And so what I did was I took a little pick and got under, there's this little tiny little thing here, holding it on there, get under that, and then you should be able to slide this right off there, and then that should give us, hopefully, the room that we need to get that alternator out of there. Alright, so I got the end of a breaker bar in here and just pried. Now I got someone working up top. There we go. So that just pulled right out of that C channel. So we're loose, that bottom bolt is still in the alternator, and then we're going to find a way to wiggle the whole thing out through the top of the engine bay. So we pulled off one more electrical connector here. Just, again, needle nose pliers to pop that right off. And so hopefully we'll have enough room here. This electrical connector off here, give us a little more room to work with. There we go, so this just pulled up out of there. This was a good 15 minutes of frustration, and unfortunately we weren't able to get the winning maneuver on video. And getting that out of there. The angle, we had these two, let's see, what's that, the top bolt? Yeah. We straddled this AC line here with that, and then this little bolt right here came out right there, right in there. We popped that out of there. So the bolt came right in between there and there. We were able to get it out. That took a while though, just wiggling back and forth to try to find the right angle. So getting the alternator out of there, we took off obviously the engine cover there. That just pops off, unscrew the oil cap, and there's no bolts or anything. You just lift up on all the corners and just pop that up. And then the electrical connectors you can see here, we pop those off, and then that right there, we got that out of there just to give us some more room so we could push this around the side there. And then this one right here, definitely have to pull that out. That pops, this top part pops up, then pull that. Got it out of there. Now we just have to reverse the steps here and wiggle it back in. We were able to do it without unhooking the AC line here. So we just, again, pop that 10 mil off so that we could wiggle this around, kind of pull forward a little bit, and that was enough to get us out of there. So I just popped this one out from down here. Again, coming in from this angle, just to give us a little bit more room when we're trying to get the new one in there. I think that might help a little bit. That way we can get that way out of our way.
That was getting cut right there, so this is how we were. Immediately, drop it in like that. Hook it in, get the straddle ready.
Got straddle, cowgirl.
Let's go on the sidelines.
Gotta get this on that side of it.
Slide turn.
There it is. There it is.
Get the slide turn in.
There it is. God, that's so much easier. Well, I guess
Putting it in is easy. It's hard to get pull out. Oh, I gotta twist this part right here too. Okay, just force it down. There we go. Alright, bring it back up. That's good. Put it together. There we go. We'll come up to there. So we'll come up to
There it is.
That's what you got.
There you go.
I like that sound.
And then we gotta spin it.
Flip it around.
Out your fingers right there.
Do you think this is what happens in mechanic shops?
This top bolt
There we go.
goes up on that bracket. That goes on the seat bracket.
Damn, dude.
You're gonna have to go
Line
underneath.
everything up.
Okay. She's sitting close enough right now.
So before you get everything situated, move your alternator over to the new one so that you can get that bottom bolt in there, because you won't have enough room to slide it in once it's all in position. So get that in there, and then we're going to go right through that little C channel that you see right there and just get that bolt in place. Just got that bolt in there, and then just kind of finger tighten it in there, and then we'll be able to slide the top back into position there, right there, and then we'll get that bolt in there.
Top bolt is going in. He's putting it in position. Threading it right through.
There we go, and then we'll get under there and tighten those up, and then we'll start getting our electrical connectors back in. Wheel well, that bottom bolt, we're just tightening it up here. It's just a 14 mil. Alright, so we're going to start getting electrical connectors back in place here. Kind of hard to see. And then we'll just push. So it clicks. There we go. So that's that bottom electrical connector that we popped off. Just push that one back on. And then we have a couple more here that we'll get on. Let's get this little nut off of here. The alternator. Just a 12 there.
A lot of
Hanging on
have you
at
guys
the
slowed
end,
down?
so we'll get that off of there. So I'm just popping the plastic piece back on that bolt there on the alternator, and then we'll get that wire, power wire, put back on with the 12 mil. Alright, we got that tightened up, so then we'll just snap this plastic cover back into place and start connecting these guys right here. Let's push them back in their little mounts here. 1, 2, and this one top there. Here it clicks. And this one right here. Get that back on. Push it till it clips. And then let's get this back in here. And we're gonna try pull that up. So we'll put the 10 mil back on, AC line up top. You definitely want to pull that one out to give you the extra room to wiggle the alternator out of there and get the new one in.
That is going back in, baby. Hide your kids, hide your wife.
There we go.
There we go. There we go.
In?
Yep.
Alright.
So we just got the tensioner threaded in. We're gonna need a couple millimeters.
The 12 mil
Yeah.
right there. Get the top one back in. It's not tight yet, so we can get the bottom one in.
And screw
Bolt.
on the tensioner, and looks like 12 millimeters. Gonna get an Allen wrench. Is that right?
No,
Not an Allen wrench. A little loopy-loo.
just an open end wrench.
Okay.
Let's see. Let's make sure that we get in that C channel down here. There we go. drops in. We should be able to find where that goes in there. It'll be a little bit of a pain. Need to get it in enough so I can get the wrench around so I can start ratcheting. It's probably good. There we go.
Alright, we're doing the final tighten.
So we got the bottom one tightened up. So get the top one. There we go. Back on. So it's going to go the rib side down. You can see over the top of the alternator, and then it's going to loop underneath the tensioner. I'm going to 18 on that tensioner just to let the tension off, get this around, and then snap it back into place. So getting the belt back on, just reverse. So you're going to pull, again, the tensioner. You're going to pull that towards the front of the car.
That'll give you the slack you need to get that belt over.
And then slip the belt over everything there.
We're gonna put the engine cover back on. This is the hardest part. The whole ordeal. Gotta make sure that knob is tight, otherwise bad things happen.
We're even gonna line it up. Look at that.
Look at that. Look at that. Skyactiv, baby. Sponsor this video. Go out and buy Skyactiv. Right?
So get the negative battery cable back on here. Got that back on there. We'll have to jump the car just to get the battery some juice. So got everything hooked up. We had jumped it initially because obviously the battery was dead on it. We got tire put back on. Obviously the inner fender liner in there. All of those little push plastic retainers, and then the little 8mm bolts that go up underneath there. Got those all on. So we let it charge a little bit, turned it off, fired back up, got all the fingerprints on it. So just put our mark on it.